Hello, ghosties. You're listening to Not My Ghost.
Not my problem. I'm Kelly.
And I'm Jen.
Whether you're a skeptic, a true believer, or somewhere in between, join us for a journey into the unknown.
Because remember, when it comes to the paranormal, it may not be our problem,
but it's certainly someone's problem.
All right, ghosties, listen up. We've got a little spooky surprise for you this month.
Ooh, I love surprises. What is it? Is it candy? Ghosts?
Better. If you join our Patreon any time in the month of September, you will get 50% off your first month with code SPOOKY50.
Half off? That's basically free. And you get all the goodies, exclusive content, mini episodes, bonus stories, basically all the paranormal weirdness you can handle.
Exactly. So if you've been thinking, should I join? The answer is yes. Half off is not something that the ghosts do very often.
Go to patreon.com/notmyghost, not my problem, and use code SPOOKY50 and come haunt us. I mean, come join us. Currently, we are trying to decide if the fan on my laptop is going to come through and be a problem on the audio of this episode. For whatever reason, Jen can hear it today.
I can hear it, and it's driving me. Well, it's not even so much driving me crazy as it's giving me anxiety on the fact that it's going to come in through the recording and that I'm going to have to either work really hard to edit it out or re-record this episode. And that's where the stress of hearing it is actually stemming from.
I can tell you that the fan on my laptop has run before while we were recording.
I'm sure it has.
And I don't believe that's been an issue.
But I've never heard it before.
I don't know. You made me get this pop filter that's like 8 feet long and 12 feet tall. So I'm shocked that you can hear it.
It is not even close to that big. Stop exaggerating.
It's humongous.
You and your 1,000 firefighters.
That's right. 1,000 firefighters.
It's not that big.
Also, Jen is hearing a phantom truck backing up.
I'm hearing all kinds of things today, guys. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know either.
Story of my life.
There's no truck backing up in this room or outside of the house.
Someone could be 3 feet away from my face and be talking to me, and I could not hear them. But yet, if there is one tiny little noise that is off, like a faucet dripping or a fan running or a truck backing up, it like triggers me, and then I just want to punch something.
It's the loudest thing in the room. It's like,
absolutely,
it can be in the distance, but it sounds like somebody's got an amplifier to it, and they're just 100% yelling it at you. I get it.
Yep.
I get it. Well, I do not have a scripted, unscripted banter question for you.
Oh, gasp. Look at you, the lacquer.
I forgot to write one, but this is going to be a long episode, so.
Okay, so are we just scripting? Are we just skipping scripted, unscripted banter?
No, I think what we're doing now is scripted, unscripted banter.
Oh, true.
Well, no, this is unscripted, but nothing's scripted.
Nothing's scripted. So
okay,
we're
let me
skipping
think of
the
a question
scripted part.
Really quick. Jen, if you could be a tree, what kind would you be?
Oak.
Oh, I think I'd be a weeping willow.
Damn it, that's what I meant to say. I don't know why oak came into my head. I said the word oak, and then I immediately thought Pocahontas, because the grandmother was a weeping willow.
Oh.
And the brain didn't brain, guys.
I tell you what, you're my BFF, so I'll let you be a weeping willow with me.
Thank you. We can both be weeping willows?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, no, those are definitely my favorite tree. I don't know why I said oak. I've always loved weeping willows ever since I watched Pocahontas when I was a child, because the fact that, what was it, Grandma was a weeping willow?
I've never seen Pocahontas, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
I'm
But
pretty sure her grandmother was a weeping willow.
I think that they are beautiful trees.
Gorgeous.
If I couldn't be a weeping willow, I'd be one of those really big motherfuckers out in California. I don't
Oh, the redwood.
Yeah, I'd be one of those.
Yes.
Just because
Yeah.
I wanna be tall for once in my freaking life. That would be great. Like a regular tree, like, sure, that's taller than I am now, but if I couldn't be a weeping willow, I'd wanna be the tallest and I'm already the widest that I can be, I think, but why not?
Yeah. You'd be a Charlie Brown tree.
There you go.
Yeah.
Alright, so are you ready to get into our topic today?
I am. I'm really excited about this topic.
I am too, and I have to say when I picked this topic, I was kind of looking through our ideas that we have on our list, and I was like, what the hell, I'll do this." Had
Yeah.
no idea how far back in this was gonna go as far as where we've started with all of this. I had a lot of fun when I first sat down when I had COVID and I was researching this, but then I needed to kinda go through everything today, and I printed it out and took it to work because I don't have access to a computer at work.
Yeah.
And I went through it all today, and I was just, like, re-fascinated by it all.
That's awesome.
So, tonight, we're stepping out under the full moon and into the shadows where man and beast collide. For centuries, legends have whispered about creatures that walk among us. Humans by day, but when night falls, they transform into something primal, savage, and unstoppable. From medieval Europe's terrifying wolfmen to modern sightings that blur the line between folklore and reality, the werewolf has sunk its claws deep into our fears and imaginations. Are these stories just campfire tales meant to keep people from wandering into the dark? Or is there a grain of truth buried beneath centuries of superstition, silver bullets, and howling in the night? Grab your wolfsbane, keep an eye on the moon, and join us as we track the history, the sightings, and the strange truths behind the legend of the werewolf.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. But first, fun facts
Awesome.
about wolves.
Cool. I was gonna say, what fun facts about werewolves do you have? But wolves, that works too.
Yeah. So each wolf has a distinctive howl, which acts almost like a name. Packs can recognize each other by these vocal signatures, and they use howling to reunite the pack, to warn rivals, or to celebrate.
Oh, cool.
So if they get like a nice kill and they're all happy, they'll just howl to celebrate. If they're all out scattered and they need to bring the pack together, they'll howl and that will bring them all together. I once We were at a like safari kind of place in the mountains of in Pennsylvania, but they had, I don't know, different animals that they took you to see, and they had some wolves. And one of their rules was you could not howl when you got out because the staff used howling to move the wolves out of an area if it was unsafe. So they
Okay.
didn't want the wolves getting used to just hearing people howl.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Very
it was pretty
interesting.
cool. Okay, next fact. When wolves were reintroduced to Yellowstone National Park, they helped restore balance by keeping elk populations in check. This allowed trees and rivers to recover, a phenomena
Phenomena.
doo, 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 called atropic cascade. So basically, wolves are their own ecosystem superheroes.
I did know that fact. I had read about that before with Yellowstone.
Yep. And did you know that wolves have best friends?
No.
Yes. Within a pack, wolves form strong social bonds. Some wolves show clear preferences for certain pack mates and will consistently play, rest, or hunt with them.
Hmm. I love that.
I thought that was really cool.
They have a bestie too.
They do. Are you ready for some scary facts about wolves?
I am.
All right. Wolves don't always kill before they start eating. In group hunts, especially, they may begin consuming a large animal while it's still conscious.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't
most
like
animals will
that.
kill it and then eat it. No. Also, a pack of wolves can take down animals 10 times their size.
Mm.
Elk, bison, moose, even bears can be targeted by a determined wolf pack. It's not common, but it is possible. Numbers and teamwork make the kill.
Oh, okay.
And wolves are silent hunters. Their paws are padded and designed for stealth, allowing them to move almost silently as they stalk prey or even approach human camps unnoticed. That's terrifying.
That is absolutely terrifying. I
That's
don't
not
like
my
that.
favorite.
No, I'm not a fan.
Nope. All right. We're going to get right into it.
Okay.
All right. Before the werewolf became a staple of horror movies, before the Howling at the Moon and the Silver Bullets, there were stories. Old stories. Stories that came from dusty temples, windswept battlefields, and ancient scrolls. If you think werewolves are just a product of medieval Europe or a Hollywood monster makeover, think again. The roots of this legend run deep, and they go back thousands of years.
Thousands.
Let's start in ancient Mesopotamia, one of the world's earliest civilizations. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, written over 4,000 years ago, there's a scene where the hero Gilgamesh is pursued by the goddess Easter. She
Okay.
wants to take him as her lover,
Fair.
but Gilgamesh isn't interested. Why?
Because he's a jerk.
No, because Easter has a bit of a reputation. One of
Oh,
her past boyfriends, a mere mortal, was turned into a wolf after they broke up. Gilgamesh basically says, "Thanks, but I'm not trying to get turned into a chew toy."
but Kelly, what did he do to deserve to be turned into a wolf?
I can only tell you,
What was he wearing? Was he wearing a shirt that said, "Turn me into a wolf"? Because then
he
it's
might
on
have been.
him.
He might have been.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably his fault.
I think it probably was. I mean, she's a goddess, right? Like, she's a goddess.
Yeah, the goddess Easter can't control her urges to turn men into wolves. So,
Right. What is she supposed Well, he probably took his shirt off and she saw chest hair. And
right,
what you
exactly.
expect her put your shirt on. You
Yeah.
expect her to be in control?
Yeah, why are you walking around without a shirt on? You can't expect women to have any type of
No.
self-control when they see a hairy man. They just want to turn them into a werewolf.
Ladies have urges, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Girls will be girls.
Right. Gilgamesh basically says, "Thanks, but I'm not trying to get turned into a chew toy." So he ghosts her. The idea of divine punishment, turning humans into animals, was already embedded in culture back then. And the wolf? That was the go to symbol of exile and danger.
No. Interesting. I wonder
Yeah,
why that was exile, considering they're like a pack animal. It's kind of weird to me that would be the symbol of exile.
I wondered that too, but I can only think that the term the lone wolf came from somewhere.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So now we're going to fast forward to ancient Greece,
Okay.
where we get a real classic, the myth of King Leon. This dude was the king of Arcadia. And depending on which version you read, he was either wickedly curious or just plain wicked.
I don't know why I thought you were going to say wickedly cute. I was like, that's an interesting way to say it, but
Maybe he wasn't wickedly cute. I
he
don't.
might have been. He might have been.
He wanted to test Zeus's omniscience. He wanted to see if the king of the gods would notice if he served him human flesh for dinner.
Oh,
Spoiler, Zeus noticed, and he was furious.
I
In
would be
a
too.
Yeah. In a god tier rage, he struck down Leon's house with a thunderbolt and transformed the king into a wolf.
I mean, he definitely was asking for it.
Definitely. What's especially interesting about this story is that it wasn't just a one off, it was part of a larger cultural fear at the time. The Greeks believed that violating social taboos like cannibalism stripped you of your humanity. And what better way to symbolize that than turning you into a beast? The werewolf, in this sense, wasn't just scary, it was a punishment and a reflection of moral collapse.
Okay.
But the Greeks weren't the only ones with shape shifting legends. We're going to talk about the Norse now.
Okay.
Now,
Let's do it.
Vikings didn't exactly have bedtime stories.
Really?
Unless unless your idea of bedtime stories includes blood, war, and maybe a little casual dismemberment.
I mean, isn't that what all bedtime stories should include? Personally.
I mean, I think so. All I can think of
Yeah.
is Thorfinn from Ghosts.
Yep. That is exactly where my brain went to.
Yep. Enter the ulfhednar, which roughly translates to wolf coat. These were elite warriors who wore wolf pelts into battle and were said to take on the ferocity and the cunning of the wolf. They were like the wolf themed cousins of the more famous berserkers who channeled the rage of the bears. So the berserkers, they were just saying they just channeled that rage in there and they went out like, we're like bears, the berserkers.
Okay. That's
But
sounds like a typical man thing to do.
y-
That's probably where toxic masculinity started.
Probably. Now, were these guys literally turning into wolves? Probably not. But in the midst of their enemies, and maybe even themselves, they became something else when they went to war. There are sagas that describe men who fought with the strength and savagery of wolves, eyes gleaming, howling in the frenzy of battle. In fact, in some stories, they couldn't even be wounded while in this state.
Huh. Very interesting.
Yeah. Even further north, in the Finnish epic Kalevala, there are references to people being cursed into wolves as punishment or out of desperation. It wasn't just about being scary, it was about being outcast, outside of society. Once you became a wolf, you were no longer welcome around the fire.
Huh. Depends
And
on who's sitting at the fire. I might not want to be there anyway.
true, true. I can think of a lot of people around that fire that'd be like, nah, just throw
Yeah,
some
nah.
gasoline on it, maybe make it a little bigger, see,
Yeah. Agreed.
yeah. But honestly, the idea that transformation equals exile is kind of at the heart of a lot of early werewolf stories. Whether you were cursed by a god, punished for a crime, or gave in to your animal instincts, becoming a wolf meant you were no longer human. It was a warning, a mythological red flag, so to speak.
Hmm.
So, where does that leave us?
I don't know,
The-
Kelly. Are you going to tell me?
I'm going to tell you.
Good.
The ancient origins of the werewolf aren't about full moons or silver bullets. They're about consequences and what happens when you defy the gods, break the rules, lose control. In Mesopotamia and Greece, in the icy forests of the north, these legends all say the same thing. The beast is already inside you, and once it gets out, there's no going back.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I would have assumed there would have been like a full moon thrown in there somewhere.
Right. When I first started this research and I was looking at the earliest that we can track back stories of werewolves, and I read in Mesopotamia, I was like, get the
Yeah.
fuck out of here right now. What?
Right. But I guess those are like, yes, they're a person turning into a wolf, but I at that point I don't know if I would have classified them as werewolves?
Well, we're going to kind of go through the evolution of this.
Okay, perfect.
So we've journeyed through the ancient world where werewolves were divine punishment and warrior spirits. But now we step into the tangled, torchlit streets of medieval Europe, where fear, faith, and folklore collided in some truly disturbing ways. In the Middle Ages, the werewolf legend got a serious makeover. It wasn't just about gods punishing mortals anymore. This was the age of witch hunts, religious paranoia, and moral panic. And the werewolf? It became a creature tied not just to superstition, but to evil.
Of course.
Yeah. Let's head to France, where some of the most infamous werewolf cases took place. In 1573, a man named Zéle Garnier, a recluse hermit living outside of the town Doyle, was accused of transforming into a wolf and attacking children. Multiple children had gone missing or been found mutilated. Witnesses claimed to have seen a monstrous wolf dragging bodies into the forest. When Garnier was arrested, he confessed, under torture, of course,
Of course.
that he had made a pact with a spirit and used a magic ointment to become a wolf. He was found guilty and burned at the stake. Not for being a murderer, by the way, but for
Right.
being a werewolf.
Of
That's
course.
why.
For making a pact with,
Right.
that's the
Those dead
reason.
kids, nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can make
They were
more.
They were probably gonna be witches anyway. It's
Right.
fine.
And you can make more. Like I had
Yeah.
5, right?
Yeah.
I just kept making more.
And back then, kids were, they barely lived past, like, what, 3 anyway, so they were pretty used to kids
Right.
dying on a regular basis.
That's true. Well, Garnier wasn't an isolated case. Just a few years later, there was another man named Jean Garnier. Not Garnier, Garnier. There is a
Gone
difference in these names.
Okay.
He was only 13 years old.
Oh.
He was tried in Bordeaux for claiming he had joined a pack of werewolves and killed local children. It's like very similar to the other story,
Yeah.
but he was just out there telling people.
Right.
He wasn't like confess under torture. He was just like, hey man, guess what I did?
He was
Which is
bragging about it.
kind of crazy.
That is bizarre.
Yeah. He described running with beasts and being given a slave that allowed him to shift forms. I don't know what the hell being given a slave has to do with that, but it is what he said.
Okay.
Instead of execution, Garnier was locked in a monastery for the rest of his life. When he died, the monks said he became increasingly animalistic, his fingernails like claws, his eyes sunken and wild.
I mean, if you're locked in a room by yourself for years, you probably don't have access to a nail file,
True.
and your eyes are probably gonna be pretty sunken in just from not being in the light and being tired and
Well, it didn't say he was in a room. He was just in a monastery.
locked in a monastery. He probably
Right.
wasn't just roaming free.
No, but they usually have some kind. I don't know. This was way back when, so maybe they didn't. I don't know.
Yeah. I
Oh,
would imagine a man that claimed to be a werewolf and murdered children would probably not be given free reign of a monastery.
well, you never know. They were crazy back then.
That's true. They
They
did
might,
think they did think he was a werewolf, so,
right? So that might all sound like the plot of a horror movie, but it was very real. Across Europe, especially in Germany, France, and Switzerland, people were accused of being werewolves in much the same way others were accused of being witches. These were often poor, isolated individuals, outsiders. And like witches, they were believed to have made deals with the devil or used magical items to shapeshift.
How often were the people being accused female?
The only examples I saw were men. So it sounds like The men who made the deals were the werewolves and the women were the witches.
We're the
Uh,
witches.
don't like take that as fact.
I know I
It's
am.
just
I'm gonna
if
go
it
publish a book
ah
about it,
fuck.
and I'm
All
gonna
right.
cite you as my only source.
And then I'm gonna have all these angry historians like, what about the werewoman of blah blah blah?
Exactly.
And I'll be like, damn it, Jen, damn it all to hell. It is important to understand, though, that during this time, the werewolf was not seen as a mythological creature. It was treated as a real world threat. Church authorities, local magistrates, and even some physicians genuinely believed that people could transform into wolves and commit atrocities.
That is insane.
Right. But sometimes belief was enough to convict someone back then.
Of course it was. That's why they burned witches at the stake.
Yeah. But here's the twist. Not all of these werewolf stories were born out of hysteria. Some scholars today believe that certain medical conditions might have contributed to these legends. One example is hypertrichosis, a condition that causes excessive hair growth all over the body. Another possibility is ergot poisoning, caused by moldy grain that could lead to hallucinations and madness.
Wasn't that what they said sparked the Salem witch trials? Wasn't it
I'm not
ergot?
sure. Probably.
I'm pretty sure it was ergot.
So you've got fear, religion, and misunderstood illness and old world folklore all mixing together into the perfect storm. One that leads to trials, tortures, and executions, all in the name of stopping the wolf inside. By the late 1600s, werewolf trials had mostly died down, but the legend never really went away. It just evolved, moving from the courtroom to the campfire and eventually to the silver screen.
Side note, sorry, I did just Google it. There is a theory that some scientists do believe that ergot poisoning did contribute to the strange and erratic behavior that people observed during the witch trial, the Salem witch
Okay.
trial specifically. I knew I had heard that before.
Yeah. Well, you are a witch, so
Uh, That's fair.
yeah.
No ergot poisoning here.
But before we talk Hollywood monsters, there's one more layer to explore. Werewolves in non-European cultures. Because while Europe was burning supposed shapeshifters at the stake, other parts of the world had their own chilling takes on humans becoming beasts. And some of these even weirder than what you've heard so far.
That's a high bar.
We've traced the werewolf from ancient kings and cursed warriors to torchlit trials and witch hunts in medieval Europe. But here's the thing, Europe doesn't have a monopoly on shapeshifters. The idea of a human transforming into something wild, dangerous, and predatory, that shows up all over the world. And depending on where you are, the creature might be a wolf or something even worse. Now, we're going to talk about Navajo Nation,
Okay.
and we are going to talk about flesh pedestrians. We call them flesh pedestrians because we have been informed it is disrespectful to Navajo Nation to say the other name that these flesh pedestrians are known by.
Yeah.
You can listen. We did a whole episode about them. You can
Did.
go back and we kind of get a little bit more into that. If you don't know what a flesh pedestrian is, Google it, and I'm sure something will come up.
It will.
In the Navajo Nation in the American Southwest, there's a chilling legend known as the flesh pedestrian. This isn't your average werewolf story. Flesh pedestrians are said to be powerful witches or medicine men who use dark rituals to shapeshift into animals, wolves, coyotes, owls, you name it. The transformation isn't a curse, it's a choice, one made through violence and corruption. They're said to move incredibly fast, mimic voices, and lurk just beyond the edge of your vision. And unlike European werewolves, who were often portrayed as tragic victims, flesh pedestrians are straight up terrifying, malicious, intelligent, and dangerous.
Yes. I'm not a fan.
No. The Navajo are deeply protective of this lore and for good reason. Even saying the word flesh pedestrian, but not that, the real word, is taboo in many communities. You don't talk about them casually. You definitely don't go looking for them. And if you ever hear your name whispered in the dark when no one is around, you don't answer.
No. And don't ever whistle at night.
Emily dated someone that would get when he was terrible to her. I think I said this in the flesh
Yeah, it was
commissioning episode.
you
Yeah,
did.
yeah, that she would go outside and whistle just to freak him out. But he was
Yeah.
really, really terrible.
Yeah, he was a douchebag.
In South America, we meet the lobisón, a werewolf-like creature found in Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. The legend says the lobisón, is that lobisón? Lobisian, however the hell I said it the first time, everyone, is usually the seventh son in a family cursed to become a wolf, or sometimes more of a wolf-man hybrid, on the nights of a full moon.
This was just in something that I watched recently. I don't remember what it was.
It's probably
The
Josh Gates if
7th
I know you.
No, it was it was a fictional story,
Oh,
but it had something to do with the 7th son and then his 7th son, and they wanted to steal that baby to do something, and I cannot remember what I was watching.
yeah, I don't know. Okay, so they say that the seventh son, or the Lobesian, would roam graveyards, feed on carrion, and spread disease. In Argentina, this legend was taken so seriously that presidents offered to adopt seventh sons to break the curse. That's
Oh,
how
wow.
deep it ran. Over in India, you'll find legends of the rakshasa. I'm assuming I'm saying that right. Not
Sure.
exactly a werewolf, but a shape-shifting demon who can appear as human or animal. They're often described as having fangs, claws, and a hunger for human flesh. Rakshasas, put an S on the end of that and it makes it so much harder to say, show up in ancient Hindu texts as warriors, sorcerers, and deceivers. Like flesh pedestrians, these beings are more than monsters. They're
Now I can
complex.
hear your phone.
Now let's answer it. Hello? Hello? Hello?
Hey there, Blake speaking. Hope you're having a good day.
You sound really real.
Not at all. I'm a real person, but I understand why you'd ask. I'm reaching out about funeral expense insurance and the fantastic offers for 2025 at very low rates. Can you tell me your age?
You're not real.
We can have this conversation later then. Goodbye.
It was Doctor Who.
Is that
It
it?
was Doctor Who, yeah. So it was the Terror of the Zygons. There was a Doctor Who episode, and they needed to get the 7th son of the 7th son. I knew I had just watched that in something, and it was gonna
Awesome.
bother me until I figured it out.
I'm glad you did.
Yep.
I'm glad I took that very real phone call too.
Uh-huh. I'm definitely leaving that in.
Yeah. No, I'm totally a real person.
But I'd understand why you'd ask
That's
that.
good. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now we're going to head to Africa.
Let's go.
In Africa, especially among the Ashanti and the Yoruba people, there are stories of were-hyenas.
Ooh.
I've never heard of a were-hyena before. These are
I feel like I
often,
have.
have
I
you?
don't know much about it, but I feel like that name, that phrase, that word sounds familiar to me.
Okay. These are often witches or sorcerers who transform into hyenas at night to hunt, steal, or feed on the dead. Some communities believe certain tribes or individuals were born with this ability. The hyena, like the wolf in Europe, symbolize something unnatural and threatening. a predator that walks too close to human life. And even in Asia, there are stories like the Hujing in China, nine-tailed fox spirits that can appear as a beautiful woman to seduce or deceive people. Not exactly werewolves, but very much in the realm of shape-shifting and supernatural duality.
Yeah.
No matter where you go in the world, people have been afraid of what happens when human and the animal blur. So these stories aren't just about beasts, they're about transformation and power. And the fear that beneath our clothes, our language, and our rules, we're just one bad night away from becoming something wild. And maybe something dangerous.
Look, I've had a lot of fears in my life, and that I was going to become something wild and dangerous has never been one of them.
I think you're wild and dangerous, Jen.
Thanks. You're probably the only one.
All right, so we've tracked the werewolf through time, ancient myths, global folklore, and medieval trials, and cultural fears. But now it's time to talk about what might be the werewolf's most enduring transformation of all. The moment it stepped out of the shadows and onto the silver screen. Because once Hollywood got its claws into the werewolf, things would never be the same. We'll start with the moment that changed everything. 1941's The Wolfman. Before this, there were few scattered werewolf films, like 1935's Werewolf of London, but The Wolfman is the one that defined the legend as we know it today. Lon Chaney Jr. played Larry Talbot, a man bitten by a creature in the woods who slowly realizes he's becoming something else. Something with fur, fangs, and a very inconvenient monthly schedule. Well,
Sounds like a woman.
yeah. I mean, I don't know about the fangs, but
Well, yeah, I was more so just leaning on some inconvenient monthly schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this film gave us the werewolf blueprint. Bitten by a wolf, you're cursed. Full moon, bad news. Silver bullet, only way out.
So that's the first time that those things were really associated with a werewolf?
So you did have one of the stories that we read that kind of brought the moon into it. I'm blanking right now. It was in South America, the lobisón.
Oh, right.
They would turn into that on nights of the full moon.
Okay, that's
But
fair.
that was the first that I saw referenced in any of this.
Okay. Completely
Okay.
blanked out on that. Shows you how much I'm paying attention.
But what made the Wolfman stand out wasn't just the transformation. It was the tragedy. Larry Talbot didn't want to be a monster. He was terrified of what he was turning into. The fear of losing control, of hurting people you love without meaning to, that resonated. This wasn't just a horror movie, but it was a story about guilt, identity, and the battle between man and beast. And that theme has stuck with the werewolf since the beginning.
I bet the special effects for that movie were amazing.
Not yet.
Just kidding, of course.
Special effects start to come in, fast forward to a few decades, to the 1970s and 80s, and things start to get gory. Special effects were evolving fast, and filmmakers took full advantage of it. Movies like The Howling and An American Werewolf in London didn't just show werewolves. They transformed them in front of your eyes. These were scenes that made you cringe and stare. Bones breaking, jaws stretching, fingers turning into claws. These weren't sleek Twilight wolves. They were
I was about to
brutal,
say,
visceral, and terrifying.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, oh, the special effects for Twilight for that transition was pretty good, but it
Yeah.
was much neater and cleaner.
And yet, just like the Wolfman, these were still stories about loss of control. In An American Werewolf in London, the main character, David, doesn't want to hurt anyone, but he knows he will. He feels it coming. That slow creeping fear of becoming something monstrous is still there, but now with better makeup and a killer soundtrack. But Hollywood wasn't content with just horror. In the 1980s, we got a whole new kind of werewolf with Teen Wolf, starring Michael J. Fox. This movie completely flipped the werewolf narrative. Instead of being cursed, being a werewolf suddenly became cool. It made you better at basketball, more confident, and kind of a hit with the ladies. In the 90s and the 2000s, werewolves became more than monsters. They became characters with backstories, emotions, inner conflict. They showed up in urban fantasy novels, supernatural dramas, and of course, a little franchise you might have heard of called Twilight. Now listen,
No, never.
love it or hate it, Twilight brought the werewolf back into the pop culture spotlight in a huge way. And sure, the werewolves were more like shirtless, superpowered shapeshifters than actual howling beasts.
Very, very attractive
Yeah.
supernatural shirtless shapeshifters.
But the
I
core
do
themes. What? Go ahead.
so,
No.
so I do want to say is because if we're going to talk about Twilight, we have to discuss this. When I read the books, I was Team Edward all the way. Jacob could have fucked off. But when I watched the movies, man, Jacob, 10 out of 10. The story didn't matter, none of it. I wanted Jacob. I mean, I really didn't want him for Bella. I wanted him for me.
I'm going to say something that's going to upset you.
So you've never read the book or watched the movies? Yeah.
Yeah.
I figured as much. The books came out when I was a young adult. So, like, that's kind of who they were aimed for. So, of course,
Right.
I read them.
Right. And when you were a young adult, I was already old as fuck. So,
Yeah, you were already wearing Depends and using
Yeah.
a cane to walk and all that. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
What? No. Okay. So the core themes were still there: transformation, control, and loyalty. But let's be honest, angst.
Yeah.
Jacob Black was the ultimate tortured protector, caught between his humanity and his instinct, and apparently a whole lot of slow motion forest running.
Mm-hmm.
From
Yeah.
there, werewolves took over the supernatural TV scene. True Blood gave us a hot-blooded werewolf packs and power struggles. The Vampire Diaries leaned hard into a hybrid angle, a vamp wolf. And Teen Wolf, the MTV version, brought the werewolf into the 2010s with a full-blown supernatural soap opera. Suddenly, the werewolf was no longer the villain. Sometimes they were the hero, or the love interest, or the brooding loner with a tragic backstory and rock-hard abs. And yes, the abs are practically a character in its own right at this point.
Sorry, another side note, because you made me think when you said this movie brought it into the 2010s. I just want to point out that while I may have said I was a young adult when these books came out, I was a young adult when I read them. I did not read them when they came out because when the first book was released, I was only 15. But I did not read them for a few years.
So I'm probably 15 years older than you, 14 years older than you. So I was like 29, 30, something like that.
Yeah, so ancient, basically.
Ancient. Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that means you're in Depends now. You know that, right?
No, the
No.
age is it's changed as I've grown up.
Oh, okay.
That's not
okay.
ancient anymore.
No.
Mhm.
No. Back in my day. Where was I?
I don't know.
All right. But under all that eye candy, the core of the werewolf legend remained the same. Who am I really? What if I'm not in control? And what happens when the beast inside me breaks free? That's why the werewolf endures, because it's never just about a monster. It's about identity, about duality, and the constant tug of war between who we are and what we fear we might become. And here's the fun part. Every generation reinvents the werewolf to reflect their own fears. In ancient times, it was punishment from the gods. In the Middle Ages, it was heresy and sin. In modern stories, it's trauma, adolescence, addiction, mental illness, masculinity, sexuality, you name it. The werewolf is the ultimate mirror, and sometimes what it reflects back is uncomfortably human. So we've talked about how werewolves have shown up all over the world in myths, legends, and movies. But here's something even more telling. Almost every culture that has werewolf lore also has ideas about how to kill one. Because when people believe in monsters, they really like to believe there's a way to stop them.
That makes
Let's
sense.
start. Yeah, so we're going to start with the one everyone knows, Europe and the infamous silver bullet. Thanks to Hollywood, this is the go-to werewolf kryptonite. But the truth? The silver bullet is a relatively modern addition to the legend. The idea didn't fully take on until the 19th century, and it was really locked in by pop culture, especially in 1941's The Wolfman. Before that, Europeans had some different and frankly much messier ideas about how to take down a werewolf. In medieval France, it was believed that you could kill a werewolf the same way you'd kill a regular wolf. Stab it, shoot it, chop off its head, burn it. You know, the usual weekend stuff. But here's the twist. They said if you wounded the werewolf and then later saw a human with the same wound, that's how you knew who it was. So it was like a real Scooby-Doo moment, like unmasking the beast by connecting the claw marks. So it would be a good
Okay.
way if you know,
Yeah, if I ever ran into a werewolf.
right. It would be really weird to run into a werewolf and not kill it, just maim it so then you could later see
Right, and
who
then
it was
I'm
and
sure
then
it would
wait for
be
it to attack you again and
yeah,
then kill it.
it would be pretty pissed at me, so that just seems really dangerous.
Yeah. In Germany, werewolves were sometimes seen as the cursed dead, meaning you couldn't just kill them, you had to purify them. Burning the body was common, sometimes alongside a religious ritual. In some places, you had to decapitate them and bury the head separately, just in case they got ideas about coming back.
Oh,
Over in,
that's
yeah,
weird.
that's crazy, isn't it? Over in Eastern Europe, the lines between werewolves and vampires got super blurry. In some Slavic traditions, the two were nearly interchangeable. So if you suspected someone of being a werewolf, you didn't just shoot them. You staked them through the heart, cut off their head, burned the bodies, and sometimes salted the grave. Basically, a paranormal overkill package.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Kinda just doing a little bit of everything.
Mhm.
I mean, to be fair, that would be pretty terrifying. I feel like I would probably do some overkill too.
Probably, yeah. In Norse and Viking culture, remember those ulfhedn? I can't remember how to fucking say it.
You remember the thing?
The ulfhednar, or however the hell I pronounced it before, we talked about.
Yes.
They weren't necessarily killable in the traditional
Oh,
sense. These warriors were believed to be so spiritually connected to wolves that harming them was considered dangerous, not just physically, but supernaturally. You might kill the body, but the spirit, that could linger and potentially come back angrier.
oh.
Meanwhile, over in South America, particularly in Argentina and Paraguay, the lobisón, the cursed seventh son, was said to be vulnerable during transformation. You could kill it with blessed weapons or through religious rites, but only if you knew what you were dealing with. Because in these stories, they could look completely human by day, which I think most werewolf stories are like that.
Yeah.
Some legends said even saying a prayer while striking them with an iron could kill the beast because the iron would hurt the wolf and the prayer would hurt the curse.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the person could survive?
I mean, it depends on how hard you hit them with that iron, I suppose. I think you're
And
just talking
and
about so it
where?
doesn't come back to kill you.
Yeah, and where you're hitting them? Like,
I
if
don't
you're
know.
hitting them in the leg, then you might break a couple bones, but
Maybe.
they might be able to survive. I mean, let's be real. If I was cursed to be a werewolf and somebody just had to, like, break my leg with an iron pole and I could live but not be a werewolf anymore, I would do that.
Okay. In Africa, where tales of the were-hyenas roam, especially in places like Ethiopia and Tanzania, it was believed that these shapeshifters were tied to witchcraft. Again, always. It's always witchcraft.
Yeah.
Killing them
Always
meant,
blaming the witches.
yep, killing them meant exposing them first. Once you knew their true form, usually a known sorcerer, you could kill them with fire or a traditional weapon. But people were afraid because killing a were-hyena could bring on a curse. So many just avoided it altogether and prayed they wouldn't become the next midnight snack. So that's an interesting one to me, is the difference of not like getting bit by one, you get cursed, but if you kill a were-hyena, that brings on a curse.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in some other parts of the world, especially older lore, you didn't kill the werewolf at all. You cursed them. In parts of Italy and Greece, people believed werewolves were cursed humans. So you could break the curse through exorcisms, rituals, or even something as wild as beating them 3 times on the head with a knife.
What?
I want to go on record that we here at Not My Ghost, Not My Problem podcast do not recommend beating anything on the head 3 times with a knife unless it is threatening yours or a loved one's personal safety.
But when I think of beating, I think of beating, not stabbing.
What's this
So, like,
beating? So I'm like, what do you
right, you're
like? Not
taking, like,
yeah,
the knife and just, like, hitting them over the head with it,
I
it
guess.
so I'm gonna go on record and say that you should never beat anybody over the head with a knife, because if somebody is threatening to hurt you and you have a knife and you're afraid for your life, then maybe just stab them instead of beating them over the head with the knife.
Yeah, it's probably better. It's probably a better
Yeah.
idea. Yeah.
But we're not advocating that you stab anybody.
No.
Never.
In Russia, the belief was that if a person who cursed the werewolf died, then the spell would lift, the curse would lift. So if I
Oh.
curse someone, they become a werewolf and I die, then they no longer become a werewolf. So
Okay,
depending
so you just need to kill the person who turned you into a werewolf, and then
right.
you're no longer a werewolf.
So depending on where you were in the world, you either burned it, stabbed it, shot it with silver, prayed over it, dug up and decapitated its corpse, or tried to rehabilitate it like a furry supernatural intervention. And maybe that's the most fascinating part. Some cultures feared the werewolf, but others pitied it. It wasn't always evil. Sometimes it was just someone who needed saving.
That's a really interesting way to look at werewolves.
Yeah, in some cultures, they believed you could break that curse.
Yeah. I feel like in most modern day now, it is very much like, once you're a werewolf, it's just you need to die. There's no saving you.
Definitely modern day, but we're digging into the history here and
Yeah,
all of the cultures that have it.
absolutely.
Okay, now we're going to kind of get into the psychology of the werewolf.
Well, you know I love psychology.
I know we just did 2 whole episodes with a third part coming at some point.
At some point, and then maybe like a branch. We're gonna branch off and do more because we got that 1 October one we're talking about that kind of goes into psychology a little bit.
True, true.
So
Yeah,
yeah, more to come.
more to come, guys. Okay, so let's be honest. There's something about werewolves that just sticks with us. Out of all the monsters we've created over the centuries, this one feels more personal. Vampires might seduce us, ghosts might haunt us, but werewolves? Werewolves are us, not in control.
I don't know if we're looking at Jacob from Twilight can seduce me any day of the week.
Right. But the point is, we are the werewolves, not in
Oh,
control of ourselves.
sure. I've
Yeah.
never once thought of myself as a werewolf, but we'll go with that.
No, you're missing it.
I get it, kind of.
So ghosts are like somebody that was here but isn't anymore.
Yes,
Vampires are kind of the same, I guess, maybe, because you do get turned into a vampire.
you do.
But werewolves are more when we as humans lose control of our animal instincts, the werewolf comes out.
Okay,
Just like would come out in you if Jacob from Twilight was seducing you.
that's fair. Yeah,
That's fair. Okay.
I'd werewolf him.
You'd werewolf them real good, wouldn't you?
I would werewolf all day long.
Oh, okay. But let's dig into why there's something about werewolves that sticks with us.
Okay.
Beyond the teeth and the fur and the claws and the full moons, the
And the
werewolf
six-pack abs.
the werewolf is a symbol, a psychological metaphor for what happens when we lose control, when the civilized, rational part of ourselves is overtaken by something primal. And in the world of psychology, that idea is very familiar.
Yeah.
Enter Carl Jung. Jung believed we all have something called a shadow self, the darker, hidden part of our psyche that we suppress. It's all the impulses we don't want to admit we have: rage, lust, violence, even fear. I don't know. I kind of admit all of that to you most.
Yeah,
Am I
mostly.
supposed to be hiding that?
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, it depends who I'm hiding it from. Not everybody has a best friend like you, Kelly.
True. True. The werewolf, in Carl Jung's view, is basically our shadow shelf. Shadow shelf.
Shadow shelf.
Shadow shelf.
Shadow shelf.
Our shadow self let loose. The beast we keep chained up until something or someone breaks that lock, like Jacob from Twilight.
Yeah.
Right. That's why werewolf stories so often involve transformation. One moment, you're a normal person. The next, you're tearing through the woods, howling and hunting. It's not about becoming evil. It's about losing control, losing your identity. It taps into our fear that maybe under the right pressure, we all could snap and lose control.
That's interesting because vampires are very similar. Again, as you said, they've been turned. They also will lose control. But I think there's something different about werewolves because you actually turn into an animal. Whereas that's the only time that you're really like in most portrayals of werewolves, they're fine the rest of the month. They're only an animal when in the full moon when they turn into the werewolf. Whereas vampires, they don't ever have control. I think they've more so lost their humanity. With werewolves, they very much still have their humanity, except when they are in that beast werewolf form in most adaptations.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to talk about clinical leanthropy. I can't say it. If you remember back earlier in the episode, we talked about, was it King Leon who
Yeah.
served the human flesh to Zeus to try to trick him?
Yeah.
And then as a punishment for that, Zeus then turned him into a wolf. That is a real psychological condition. It's rare, but documented. People genuinely believe they've turned into an animal, often a wolf. Patients have reported looking in the mirror and seeing fur. Others say they feel their bodies stretching, bones breaking, even if no physical change is happening. Most cases are tied to psychotic episodes, schizophrenia, or severe trauma. It's like the myth broke through the barrier of folklore and got into the wiring of our minds. And once it's there, it can manifest in terrifying and visceral ways. That has to be so freaking scary to
Yeah.
feel like you can feel your bones like breaking and you're turning into an animal.
And then it not actually happening. Like, that's just all in your mind.
Right.
That's
But
insane.
Lycanthropy, I can't say it now.
I don't think you said it right the first time, but that's fine.
Lycanthropy? I don't know, guys. It's a word. It's big. It's Greek. Whatever.
You're fine. You
It's-
know that we do not have our degrees in pronunciation.
That is the God's honest truth. But it isn't just a psychological oddity. It's also been linked to collective fears and cultural guilt. In medieval Europe, werewolf stories often popped up in areas suffering from war, famine, or plague. When people are scared, they need someone or something to blame. And what's a better scapegoat than the neighbor who keeps to himself, has scars he can't explain, or hunts alone in the woods? He's not just weird, he's a monster.
That's not a nice way to talk about Jeff.
Have you met Jeff?
No, I just picked a random name. I don't know. Just it sounded like a Jeff.
Yeah. Does it in medieval times?
Oh no, I was thinking about the current times. Like your neighbor that is the monster.
Well, they were talking in medieval Europe. What would be a better medieval name?
I don't know. What's the
Um,
medieval name?
Maybe
Jeffro.
maybe Jeff is one. I don't know. Jeffrey.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows?
Jeffrey Joffrey.
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 There
Yeah.
you go.
I knew I was on the right track.
I had faith in you.
Thanks. I'd get there eventually.
The only thing I have faith in is you, Jen.
Thank you.
Psychologists call this projection, where a community casts its fears onto one person, turning them into the embodiment of what they fear the most. That's why so many historical werewolf cases sound a lot like witch trials. It's not about the truth, it's about control and fear and trying to make sense of the chaos.
Yeah.
And let's not forget how the werewolf also became a stand in for mental illness, trauma, and even addiction. Think about it. You black out, you wake up somewhere unfamiliar, you're told that you hurt people, but you don't remember doing it.
Oh.
It mirrors the lived experience of people with dissociative disorders or substance abuse issues. The werewolf myth takes that internal experience and gives it a monstrous shape, something you can name even if you can't understand it. So, whether it's an ancient fear of losing control, the projection of collective guilt, or the metaphor for mental illness, the werewolf legend has never just been about the creature. Again, it is about us, the parts we can't tame, the parts we are afraid to admit exist. And that's probably why this legend has survived for so long, because deep down we all wonder, what would it take to unleash the beast inside? Now, Jen knows. Jacob from Twilight.
Dick, I mean, there are other things that could unleash the beast. He's just one of them.
Johnny Depp.
I mean, he's getting old, but
Hey,
still,
hey.
what?
I'm old.
I think Johnny Depp's older than you.
Probably.
Yeah. He could still put on a Captain Jack Sparrow costume. I'd be fine.
Role play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as he can still do the voice, I'm in.
So I do have a couple of modern werewolf sightings. You would think that in the age of smartphones, satellites, and DNA tests, werewolf sightings would have gone extinct. Like, sure, maybe you could believe in a wolfman roaming the forest back in the 1600s, but not so much today with drones and night vision trail cameras. But apparently the wolves didn't get the memo because people are still reporting them.
Okay.
We're going to start in the United States, where some of the wildest modern werewolf stories come from none other than Michigan.
Okay.
In early 2025, a handful of strange encounters were reported near the Upper Peninsula, deep in the woods where cell service is spotty and shadows stretch a little longer. One man claimed he saw a creature nearly 8 feet tall, with glowing eyes and long claws. He described it as walking upright like a man, but with the head and haunches of a wolf. He managed to capture a shaky video from inside a hunting blind. And when he later found clawed footprints measuring up to 14 inches long, he decided it was time to pack up and not ask any more questions.
That's fair. I probably would have burned the place down.
Right. Now, I tried to find this video and I was not able to find it anywhere.
Of course.
Unfortunately. Okay. Now, if you know your cryptids, you probably saw this one coming. Wisconsin's Beast of Bray Road is still
I have
making the rounds too.
Yeah, I had heard of that
Yeah.
one.
The legend dates back to the 1930s, but had a huge spike in sightings in the 80s and 90s. Drivers claimed they saw a massive wolf-like creature standing upright on the side of the road, or sometimes even chasing cars. People still come forward today saying they've seen something strange in the fields and the forests around Elkhorn. Whether it's folklore, mass hysteria, or something else entirely, the beast refuses to go away.
See, it's probably just a big wolf.
Standing upright?
I mean, maybe. I don't know. When I hold a treat up, Ellie can walk for a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. But it's not just the US that's reporting these creatures. We're going to hop across the pond to England.
Hop across the pond.
In Bridlington, the UK's Danes Dyke wooded area, a man named Philip Kinsella claimed in June 2025 that he saw something he'll never forget. He captured a photo of what he says is an 8-foot tall humanoid figure in broad daylight. In the image, it looks like a massive, shadowy creature standing between the trees. Skeptics say it might just be a person in a bulky coat or a case of pareidolia. But Kinsella swears he didn't see anyone there when he snapped that picture. Now, I was able to find that photo, so that will be in the social media posts for this episode.
Okay, well, now I got to go look at it because I didn't look. So he didn't see it when he snapped the photo. Is that what he's trying to say?
That's what he said. So I thought, then why did you take the picture?
Right. Unless this is just like he was taking a picture of something else and he just happened to zoom in on this section.
Maybe this might just be a cropped part of this
Yeah.
picture.
It kind of just looks like a torso and arms and a head. I don't know. I would think ghosts more than I would more than I would werewolves.
I really do think it looks like a coat. But it was
Looks like a what?
A coat.
I thought you said a goat. I was like, where do you get goat from this, Ellie?
I'm not all that bright, Jen.
Yeah, it does. It looks like a big furry winter coat.
Yeah.
I would not have gone werewolves.
Same. Okay.
Let us know what you think in the comments.
Please. Now we're going to go to Mexico, where folklore meets viral curiosity. In March of 2025, villagers in Veracruz reportedly discovered the remains of a strange animal, something with a small body, but human-like hands with claws. Locals said it might be a nagul. We talked about them earlier, which is a shapeshifter from the Mesoamerican legend. The photos made the rounds online, but experts who took a closer look believed it was still likely a common animal, maybe a rabbit or an opossum that had decomposed in a weird way. Still, it spooked enough people to stir up old fears. Now, I was having a hard time finding a picture that we could actually use with the
Okay.
copyright stuff. So
So just Google it, please.
Google it. Yeah.
Yeah. But did they not do like DNA testing on it?
It didn't say.
Maybe they are doing it. DNA testing can take a minute. And that was only in March.
I don't think it would take that long.
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe.
know. It depends on it. Maybe it's not high on their priority list either.
Probably not. Random dead animal carcass.
Yeah.
Probably not really high.
And lastly, in case you did need a laugh, New Orleans made headlines earlier this year when a burglar broke into a store wearing a full-on werewolf mask. The suspect, dubbed the Midnight Wolfman, was caught on security footage rummaging through shelves like he was hunting for snacks, not stoles. Police say it was just a disguise, but the image did go viral because apparently even criminals can't resist a little full moon drama.
Okay. That reminds me, my cousin David, rest in peace. When we used to go camping, we went one time with my other cousin's like family, and they had like 3 little girls. And we would always sit by the campfire and tell ghost stories and all of that. And he bought a werewolf mask, and I don't think anybody knew. Maybe his parents knew. I don't know if anybody knew that he had bought this, but we were telling stories, and of course he happened to tell a story about a werewolf. And then later, like, snuck off and then, like, snuck up behind the girls at the campfire with the werewolf mask, and it was hilarious. Traumatizing young children is always funny, guys.
It's always funny.
It's a
always.
great time.
At least you're terrifying them in non, like, actual threatening
Yeah,
physical
exactly,
ways.
in funny ways.
But here's the big question. Why do these sightings keep happening?
I don't know. Are you gonna tell me?
I'm gonna try. So
Okay.
we're talking about a creature that biologically speaking doesn't make sense. No bones really left behind, no trail cams catching them clearly, no confirmed DNA samples, just stories. Sometimes with blurry photos, sometimes with blurry video, but always with the same tone: fear, confusion, and a sense that the person knows what they saw, even if no one believes them. So whether it's the dog man in Michigan, the Beast of Bray Road, a shadowy figure in the UK, or a Nagal from the hills of Mexico, one thing is clear. The werewolf hasn't gone extinct. It's evolved from legend to roadside mystery, from cursed soul to viral sensation. And honestly, I don't know what's a scarier thought, that these creatures are real, or the idea that we keep imagining them into existence.
Yeah, I mean, kinda like the whole thing with Slender Man. They said that was just something that people think
Right.
they think was, like, imagined into existence.
Right. And that brings us to the end of this episode about werewolves. From ancient kings cursed by the god, to warriors who wore the wolf's skin into battle, to quiet trails where someone still swears they heard a growl just behind them. The werewolf has never really been about the creature. It's been about the change, the loss of control, the question we're all too scared to ask. What happens when we're no longer the one holding the leash? Maybe that's why the legend still survives. Because even in the age of algorithms and city lights, there's still something primal beneath our skin. Something that howls when we're angry, snarls when we're concerned, and sometimes just wants to run. So as you walk home tonight, through your well-lit neighborhood or a quiet forest trail, listen closely. That rustle in the leaves, that soft snap of a twig behind you, could be nothing, could be the wind. Or maybe it's just something waiting for the moon to rise.
If you loved what you heard, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, because that really helps us out a lot.
And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Not My Ghost Podcast. Also TikTok at Not My Ghost
And
Podcast.
TikTok. Yes.
And on Facebook at Not My Ghost, Not My Problem. We post updates, photos, more,
Yeah. All kinds of fun
all kinds
stuff.
of fun little things.
And if you want more spooky content, go join our Patreon, which, as you heard at the beginning of this episode, we are offering a 50% off deal for your first month if you join in the month of September. So go join, and you can get all kinds of great stuff at a discount. Just give us a trial run for the first month.
And where would they go for that, Jen?
I don't know. I always make you say the
Patreon.com/Not My Ghost, Not My Problem.
that one. What she said. And also email us your spooky stories because we know that you have them and we know that you want to send them to us so we can read them. And you can email us at notmyghostpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. Thank you for joining us on this wild, winding journey through the shadowed woods of werewolf lore. Remember, as you wander through the moonlit forest and fog-covered trails, keep this in mind.
If it's not your beast,
It's not your problem.
until next time, stay spooky.
And stay skeptical.